So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 8th congregation. And before I start, I'm just going to record this first section, but as I said, the huddles won't be recorded unless you give your consent, and I hope this is okay with everyone. I don't have to make any comments about muting because everyone is really familiar, and I was expecting much more chaotic beginning. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Eoin Kennedy, and I'm kind of the glue behind CongRegation. You, on the other hand, are what make this event special. I've had the unique privilege of reading all of your submissions and your unique perspective, and it bodes well for what I expect is going to be a really engaging day of conversation and exploration. It's hard to take any single insight, as it's like watching a giant jigsaw puzzle assemble itself. The one overarching thing that does strike me is that society, although it's a challenging topic, is one that we all have a vested interest. However, despite this obvious importance, we rarely get a chance to examine it, never mind debate and tease it out. It's also a topic that if you come cold to it, leaves you kind of scratching at the outer layers of this multifaceted onion. And this explains why I torture you so much with persistent emails about submission. The submission also means that today, each of you is a peer. For my own submission, I took comfort in science fiction and reveling in an evolved future that might come to pass. And this is counterbalanced with some of your own observations of a current society that is divided, individualistic, and perhaps driven by uncaring profit-led technology. All your observations are valid and helpful. Like most people, I am messy, I'm unpredictable, I'm contradictory, but humans are also capable of incredible feats of spirit, unity, and generosity. Today is not about answers, but perhaps about an awakening. And despite its terrible human and economic damage, the current pandemic has given us the opportunity to perhaps step off that treadmill, examine how we live our lives, what really matters, and a rare chance to examine the strange world we occupy. I'm hoping that this spirit of shared exploration keeps you energized during the day ahead. From looking at the list, I estimate that about 70% of you have been to CongRegation before in some shape or form. And this means that there'll be plenty of you to fill in the gaps for the things that I now forget to mention. So in the next few minutes, I will separate you each into huddles, which are called breakout rooms in Zoom language. Each of these has a chair. You'll have to wait a few seconds while the chair arrives, as I will be teleporting them to the right room. Each room lasts 1 hour. Up to 3 people will be asked to discuss their submission in each huddle for about 10 minutes, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A and just sharing of minds. We repeat this exercise 4 times during the day before regrouping for the poetry open mic and the stand-up session with Eric Lawler. At the start, you'll be asked to introduce yourself and give a life hack. Please limit your introduction to your name and what you do. Your lives are all really fascinating, but we just don't have time to hear the full story today. The life hack can be a fun tip, a business advice you received, or philosophy you live by. For example, my life hack is around hiring people who are smarter than yourself. But my take on it is surround yourself by people who are smarter than yourself, and maybe some of it will rub off. And that's certainly what I'm doing today. So I hope some of it does rub off. The rules for the huddles are self-explanatory. So I only want to highlight some of the key ones. First, volunteer early. If this really helps the chair, and it really helps get the discussions kind of moving. It's important to get early kind of momentum. And don't take or offer offense. Expect robust debates, but just think about how you phrase things, because everyone's here with the right spirit and they've all given their time freely, and people have put a lot of work and effort into their submissions. It's okay to differ, and that's perfectly acceptable. Please stay on topic Society 3.0, and that's a really important one. Huddles can be very comfortable areas, but please do not explore unrelated personal areas. And my advice now is think huddles, not cuddles. Try to be as succinct as possible and avoid rambling. And this is especially because we're in an online environment. In the real world, it's not so bad, but in an online world, rambling can be torturous and can be very difficult. So have a think about what you want to say and try to be as succinct as possible. And also, please try to be as inclusive as possible. This means giving equal opportunity to all voices, or even better, to actively encourage others to speak up. Not everyone is as comfortable as you might be in this environment. Expect robust debates, but please be respectable, draw a breath. And not everyone's like you, nor should they be. However, neither is it a competition. There's nothing to win by occupying all the space. And there's more to gain by getting other quieter voices to participate. Ask for group permission. Sorry, am I still here? I got a weird, can everyone still hear me? Sorry, I just got a weird notification kind of popped through there. Naturally, this online version of CongRegation is a poor relative to being in Cong. But if you can make use of the virtual backgrounds taken from the previous huddles, it might make it more Cong-esque. There's a link in the chat. The chairs have a particularly difficult task today, and I thank each and every one of them. They're giving their times freely, so please work with them and follow direction. I've asked the chairs to chair in a certain way, so if you have any error with it, please direct it to me rather than them. I'll be in the lobby all day if you get cut off and need to rejoin. You can also call me to your huddle if you need to, but expect the unexpected. Zoom does random selection, but it's even more imperfect than my normal spreadsheet. So if you find yourself in a room with similar people and wish to leave, come back to the main lobby and I'll try allocate you to another room. The schedule for today is 10:30 to 11:30, 12 to 1, 2 to 3, 3:30 to 4:30. And apologies for clashing with the start of the match. Later this evening, we will also regroup for the poetry open mic from 7 to 8 and the stand-up session from 8 to 9. Paul has already given some of the details about that, but Paul and I will be there from about 6:45. The stand-up session with Eric Laurel will be a relaxed affair with Eric sharing some tips and tricks of the trade and sharing his own story. Come armed with questions if you want to get the most from this, because I can see it being really useful for even work presentations. And I'm really hoping that some of you take the leap to test out your new skills for the second part of it. During the 30 minutes break, you're free to dash off for comfort break or stick around for some health, wellness, stretching and nutrition tips from Declan and Jason from KD Corporate Wellness. Finally, I would like to thank our sponsors who have stuck with us despite the move to online. Take a bow, John McGee from Mayo.ie, Tim Kinsella from MKC, Conor Winnicon from Black Knight Solutions, Aidan from the ICB, and Paddy, who remember from Informed Decisions. Now, just bear with me for a few minutes while I set up the breakout rooms, and have a fantastic day, and I shall see you in approximately 1 hour.